DaVinci Resolve 20 is here, and it might just be one of the best updates to DaVinci Resolve we've had in some time. I'm talking a proper full-size keyframe editor on both the cut pages and the edit pages, an improved UI when you're working with vertical videos, animated captions, yes, something you've all been asking for quite some time, AI beat detection, a proper music retiming, re-lengthening function, even better magic masks, plus a whole selection of really clever AI tools. It really is a big update, ladies and gents. Now, it has only just been announced. I'm currently in a hotel room in Vegas just ahead of NAB. So I don't have all the answers, but I want to jump on, give you a quick tour and show you what this new update can do. Now, there are tons of stuff in this update I won't have a chance to mention because I've not had time to play with, but as other people start launching some videos, check out the pinned comments below. I'll add some other videos to there for you to go and have a look at. Now, it is available right now. It is a beta, or beta, as you like to remind me. It is in beta. You can go and download it. You just need to head over to the Blackmagic support website, which I've linked down below, to download the beta, install it, and have a play. Remember, being a beta, it might be buggy, you might have issues, so you might not want to do this in the middle of a project, but if you want to have a play, you can. So, before we jump into some of these massive new updates, there's a few smaller things I need to show you first. One of them being something that pops up every single time you open a new project in DaVinci Resolve 20. DaVinci Resolve 20. Ha ha ha, that's exciting, right? Anyway, let's open it up and I'll show you. So here it is, DaVinci Resolve 20, and the project manager looks exactly the same as the project manager from before. But now, when you create a new project, it will say name, so you can give this project a name, but now it also asks for your media location. Because Resolve 20 creates some funky things for you, it needs a place to put them. You can either leave that as the default or simply change the location, then hit create, and you're into your brand spanking new DaVinci Resolve 20. Now, they've also added a download manager, which is super handy. It allows you to download new things which aren't there by default. Not everyone will need, but if you do need them, you can download them directly within DaVinci Resolve. And one of the things you can use that to download is more languages. They've added extended language support for transcriptions and for subtitles. I've put them on screen for you now so you can have a little look. So if your language wasn't supported previously with the transcriptions and whatever else, hopefully it is now. I'm from the valleys I am, wheels. They've added wheels. I don't know why they've added wheels. So once you're in Resolve, what you want to do is go to the very top, click on DaVinci Resolve. Now there's this new menu, Extras Download Manager. Give that a click and the Downloads Manager will appear. So we've got the AI voice training, and then we've got the extended AI transcription language support. And you can simply hit download all to download all of these. Anyway, enough messing about. Keyframe Editor. This is something people have wanted for a long time. They've added a really nice keyframe editor on the edit page and the cut page, and you can pop it out and you can do splines. Oh, it's really good. Let's have a look. We access the keyframe editor in two places. The first one, right at the very top on this little menu, keyframes. And look at this. We have a proper keyframe editor. We've got all our attributes, all the things down the left-hand side. They're grouped by speed, so you can do this for speed warps as well. Cropping, and then we've got transform at the top. And you can see all of our keyframes here. We can give them a click, we can move them around, we can do all this sort of fun stuff. This window does pop out as well. There's this pop-out icon. We give that a click. Full screen proper keyframe editor on the edit page is amazing. So you can go and put this on a separate monitor. You can see we've got all of our points. We can select things. We can curve them. So we can come in here and add some curves and mess around with those. We can hold the Option key or Alt if you're on a Mac to add new keyframes. You can do all of the work you'd either really struggle to do on the old edit page or you jump onto Fusion to do. Now you can do within this fancy little keyframe editor. Now I think there are more things you can do with this, so I need to really jump into it and have a proper play, but keyframe editor. Now if you don't like this one in the top left-hand corner, if we just get rid of that for a second, on your actual timeline, you can also click on this icon, this keyframe tray, to get the keyframes in the bottom here. So you don't get all of the splines, but you can still see your keyframes. You can still move them around, move them on the timeline, do some real simple stuff with this tray at the bottom, which again is really, really nice. And it's much nicer than having to open the individual clips to see the keyframes. You can just keep this consistently at the bottom of your timeline. As you zoom in, it will zoom in. As you zoom out, it will zoom out. Move them along. Do whatever you need to do. Proper keyframes. This is huge. This is way better. Let me know how pleased about that you are down in the comments below. Next up, this is a small one, but this is copy and paste and remove attributes. Now, you couldn't do this from the cut page before, but now you can. They've also added a tiny little thing which is easily missed, which just makes your life a little bit easier when you're copying and pasting attributes from one clip to another. It's a small thing, but it's worth mentioning. So now on the cut page, we can right click on a clip and there is the option to remove attributes. So we can remove anything that we've set. And if we do a simple copy on that one and then go to another clip, we do now have the option to paste attributes, or we can use our keyboard shortcut, just like we did on the edit page. So this clip here has some zooms applied to it. So we're going to hit Control and C to do a copy, and then Alt or Command and V to do a paste, to get our paste attribute. And we can tick our zoom. But there's this new option, don't show until next copy. So if we just tick that and then apply, but if we go to another clip and then Alt or Command and V, it will automatically apply the zoom. So we can just keep applying whatever we copied to our clipboard without having to open up that screen, tick the right boxes, and then hit apply. Now, just going back to the cut page for a second, there is now a proper mixer on the cut page. You click mixer, top right-hand corner, you get the little mixer down at the bottom. You can even extend this for an extended view. And then from here, you can set things like loudness, and you can even open the EQ and the dynamics. Next up, we're talking fonts. Now, this, again, is something people have wanted for a long time. It's only a small thing, but if you do lots of titles, lots of kind of fancy graphic-y stuff, you're really going to like this. You can limit the amount of fonts that appear within your list. So you no longer have to have the massive list of every font in the world ever. You can narrow it down. Let me show you how. So in my Resolve at the moment, you can see I've got the big, long list of fonts. Now, what you need to do for this is to create a text file. So I've got a text file here with the names of the fonts I want to stay within Resolve. So I've got Nonito, Helvetica, and Big Shoulders Display. You can use the asterisks, the little stars, as wildcard. So if we put Helvetica and the wildcard, it'll pick up anything that starts with Helvetica. Once that's done, make sure that's saved. Jump back to DaVinci Resolve, click on Resolve top left-hand corner, and go to Preferences, User from the very top. So this is user specific, which is handy. Come down to Editing from the left, and there is a new text area. Display only specific fonts. Click Browse to find the file, and then hit Save. And now if I go to this same Text Plus, open up my fonts, I've got Big Shoulders, I've got anything that starts with Helvetica, so I've got 2 of those, and then anything that starts with Nonito, they're there, ready to go. So gone is my big long list. Now we've only got the fonts we really want. Sticking with fonts and text and titles and all that sort of fun stuff, something else, again, you're going to hear me say this a lot, but something else people have wanted for a long time, text boxes, text wrapping. You can now do proper text wrapping. So as you enter text, if the line's too long, it doesn't just disappear into the nether regions of DaVinci Resolve. You can now put it in a proper text box. Grab the standard text plus from the titles, as you always have, put it on your timeline, give it a click. Let's just do loads of text in here, yada, yada, yada. Now, if we jump over to this layout tab, at the very top, you've got type point. You now have the option to change it to text box. And then we've got the option to wrap to text box. And we now have wrapped text. Small thing, I know, but people have been wanting this for a long time. If we now change the little drop down to Fusion Overlay, we can see the size of the box, and we can even readjust it on the fly. Winner. They've also added a brand new title, which is based on the Text Plus, but it's called MultiText, and it does exactly what it says on the tin. So within the effects library under titles, same place you'd find text and text plus, there is now a MultiText. You just grab that, put it on your timeline, give it a click, open the inspector, and you've got something that looks like this. So we can put some text in here, change the font, change the size, change all the usual things you would. But now we can click on any of these 3 boxes to add another point layout. Point is kind of just your basic standard text plus like you're used to. We can add a text box instead, which allows us to do what we did before by adding a new text box into here. Maybe move this somewhere else and resize. And then we can also add a new circle layout as well. So we can pop that in there, pop loads of text in. Sourcetape. If you've watched my videos, if you've seen my stuff for any amount of time, you know that I really like the Sourcetape. Sourcetape has only ever existed on the cut page. Now it's on the edit page. Yeah! I'm very pleased to see this one. I've wanted this for a long time. Over in the media pool, you can see I've got a simple folder here called cart with a bunch of different clips. If we click on this little icon to the top left of the preview window called Sourcetape, it'll put all of the clips from my currently selected bin, so all of these clips, into one big timeline so I can scroll through, having a look at all of the footage that we took. And if I find a little bit that I like, I can grab it with an in and an out, an I and an O, and then just pop it on the timeline. So you can really quickly scrub through all of the clips, selecting even multiple clips at once, and then adding them onto your timeline, either by clicking or dragging or using keyboard shortcuts, however you like to work. And it's a super handy way, super quick way of building up your timeline. Now this one is something I didn't know I needed until I saw it and then realized I've needed it for a long, long time. And that's the ability to jump into a compound clip at the right point. Wherever your playhead is, it will remember that point. And if you use a lot of compound clips, that will make a whole lot of sense. And you'll be really pleased to see this one. This one is so simple, but it's going to save people like me loads of time because I love a compound clip. As you can see, right at my playhead, this is when this text appears. If I right click on my compound clip and I'm going to open in the timeline, you can see my playhead is automatically at that exact point we were before we open the timeline. So I can see exactly where I need to be to move this text if I need to. Let's just go back to the timeline. Let's move the playhead somewhere else. Let's go right as the text starts to disappear. Cool. I right click, open in the timeline, and I'm still in the same place. Seems really silly, really basic, but that is massive for us people that love a compound clip. Improved UI when working with vertical or portrait videos. Again, something people have wanted for a long time. This makes DaVinci Resolve a whole lot better for your online vertical content, whether that be Reels or TikToks or YouTube Shorts or whatever it is that you're doing. This is quite a big deal. Whether you like vertical videos or not, you can't deny they're massively popular, and I know tons of businesses really rely on short form content, so this is going to make chopping those vertical videos together much easier. So here we are in Resolve and everything looks exactly the same as normal because I'm on a landscape timeline. But if I just change this timeline to be a vertical resolution instead, and it's going to change the entire UI. So now we have more room over here and we've got our vertical kind of display here. Now if I just get rid of the inspector, there's a new icon in the right as well, and we can give that a click, which just takes up the entire screen. So now we can look at our vertical video properly while still having the timeline here, do all the cuts that we need to do while having a look at this. Now, if I open up the inspector, it will kind of shift over and then we can close the inspector and it'll stay where it is. Now, this isn't just on the edit page. This works in a bunch of different pages here, like the color page and the cut page. Again, there's still more stuff I haven't had a chance to mention on the edit page, like you can now set the background to be this nice bright red. There's a new way to sync your media from the Blackmagic cloud on the edit page, even in offline projects. I haven't had any time to play with this, but I'll probably make a specific video about it in the next coming days, weeks, or whatever, so stay tuned for that. There is even now the ability to import Photoshop PSD files into DaVinci Resolve and then edit the individual layers on the timeline, which sounds super cool and interesting. So again, I'll have a play with that in the future. And sticking with making your life just that little bit easier, they've finally added the ability to add custom presets to Quick Export. So if you're not familiar with Quick Export, either the edit page or the cut page, you've got Quick Export top right hand corner. Give it a click and it had some presets which you could just click and then render out your project without going to the deliver page. But you've never been able to add your own custom presets. Now you can. So if we jump over to the deliver page, let's just use my YouTube 30, which is one that I use all the time. It's got all my custom settings. If I click on these three little dots in the top right hand corner, YouTube 30 That's the one. There's an option to add to quick export. So now from the edit page, I can just click that button. There's YouTube 30, give that a click, export it, and I know it's good to go. So very similar to that, let's make a new custom preset. We click on our three little dots, we save as a new preset, same as you used to. Give it a name. Now we've got these nice little preset icons. You can't add your own yet. Hopefully that will come in the future, but there are some nice ones. We've got like a PC, a laptop, a phone. We've got a YouTube screen and some other stuff going on here. So let's give that a click. Let's also add this to the quick export, same as before. And once again, from the edit page, quick export, we've got our nice fancy preset with our icon. Animated subtitles. Ever since they added the ability to do this AI-generated subtitles on the edit page within DaVinci Resolve, people have complained that they weren't animated and you couldn't do enough fancy stuff with them. Now you can. So from the edit page, same as before, we go timeline, but now we go AI tools because the create subtitles from audio now sits within this area instead. We give that a click and we can just generate our subtitles as we usually would. So this process hasn't changed. The difference now, though, is we can apply any of these fusion titles to our subtitles. So if I was to grab something silly like circus, I can drop this title onto the whole subtitle track, and now all of our subtitles are in this circus style. Now, if we scroll down within the titles, there's now a new area called animated. And we've got lollipop, rotate, slide in, statement, and word highlight. So these animated titles are specifically for subtitles. So if we were to grab word highlight, drop that on this track. But how does it work from the other point of view? When you need to grab your laptop, we've now got individually animated words. That's really cool. People have wanted this for a long, long time. If we give any of the actual subtitles a click, go to track, you've got all of the settings. So we can come in here, scroll down, we've got different settings like the color of the highlights, the softness. We can enable outlines, we can enable the background, all this sort of fun stuff. Now, all of these can be created. I haven't jumped into it too much because it looks kind of complicated, but users will be able to create these animated subtitles, so I'll have a play with that in the future, and hopefully I'll be able to make some cool ones for you all to use. Next up, we're going to talk about some of these new music-related features by automatically detecting beats and having the ability to retime your songs directly on the timeline. But first, we just need to take a moment to thank this video's sponsor, AUDIIO. AUDIIO is a music subscription service with a massive curated catalogue of music and sound effects that you can use for basically any project. There's tons of different music covering different genres, and it's super easy to find thanks to all of the filters available to you. You can even use some of their AI tools to help you find your music, like my favourite, Hans AI, where you simply describe the type of music that you're looking for and it will search the audio database to find the right music for you. There's also another called Bolt. If you find one particular song you really like, you don't need to spend a bunch of time searching for the others. You can hit one icon and it will find you similar music in a jiffy. If you want access to the entire audio, music and sound effects catalog, then you'll need AUDIIO Pro. It's available for your first year for just $59 using the code ALEX70 at checkout. So check the link down in the description below to head over to AUDIIO, check out the AUDIIO Pro license, use ALEX70 at checkout to get your first year for $59, and off you go. Right, let's get back to DaVinci Resolve 20, and we're going to be talking about this automatic beat detection, which is going to make your life way easier if you're trying to cut your nice fancy new music to the beat on the edit page. So on the edit page and the cut page, so it should work on the iPad eventually too. I've got a music track on this timeline down here. We simply right click, click on show music beats. It's going to analyze the track. It's really quick. And now if we zoom in, you can see we've got these little markers on our timeline showing the beat of this music track. And it goes all the way along. Now this is super handy because if we grab a clip from our media pool, just a video clip, bring this onto the timeline, with snapping enabled, which is this little magnet here, it will snap to those beats. Edit point on this one, we can snap it to the beats, so doing edits in time with our music should now be way easier. Sticking with music, we've got this AI music retiming feature. They added the music remixer a few versions ago and people thought you'd be able to use that to lengthen or shorten your music, but you couldn't. Now you can using this new feature. So this will allow you to just literally drag your clip to as long or as short as you need it to be on the timeline, and AI will do the rest for you. So, music track on our timeline. This one's dead easy. Open up the inspector, make sure you're on the audio tab, and then you can come down and see this AI music editor. Now you can either type in the length in this box and then hit adjust, and it will do it for you. But the way I prefer so far is by simply clicking on this live trim, and then on the timeline, you can simply retrim this clip. It's going to analyze it, run through it, make some cuts, and then make sure this track is the right length for you. So you can now see we've got this intro at the beginning, and then it's made this cut. We can see this kind of jagged little cut, and most of the song then remains the same, and it ends right at that point. Now with that live trim still enabled, we can then change our mind and make this a little bit longer. If we want to make it really long, we can. And once it's done that initial analysis, you don't need to wait for it. So you can just come along, messing about, making this different length. Now when it does this, it also makes different versions. So you can see I've got versions 1 and version 2. So I can listen to this back, and if I don't like it, I simply change to version 2, and it will show me the same length, but with the edit points in a slightly different place, which can make the song sound ever so slightly different. Do just remember to turn that live trim off if you do actually want to change the length of the clip on the timeline without it doing the automatic editing. Something else which has appeared on both the edit page and the cut page, which is again super useful for us, like, especially if we're doing YouTube and that sort of thing, and it's the ability to do voiceovers without having to jump into Fairlight. So you could do this before, but it was a bit of a faff. Now it's much easier. So from the edit page, underneath your preview window here, we now have this new icon, which is a little microphone thing for your voiceovers. This is way easier than having to do it on the Fairlight page of old. Give that a click. Record voiceover box will pop up. You give it a file name, so let's just call this one test. You've got your audio input, so whatever microphones you've got on your MacBook or computer or whatever. I'll use my Elgato. And then which track do you want this voiceover to be recorded to? I'll leave this as auto. Now there's also some additional options in this little menu at the top right. Give that a click. We can enable a 3 seconds countdown, so we don't just go right away. We can also mute the timeline audio while recording. So if you've got some music on your timeline, that won't be blaring and mess up your voiceover. So we're going to enable the 3 seconds and then simply hit record. We'll get a nice little countdown. And then as you start recording, you can actually see your new audio file appearing on the timeline. And then when you're done, you simply hit stop. So cut page underneath the preview window, the same icon, give it a click, but this time we do have more options. So first up on the left, we've got this drop down. This gives us our voiceover settings, things like the audio input, which track, the monitoring, and our countdowns. We've then got this one. This is really interesting because this allows you to load in a script. Now the script just needs to be a plain text file, and then as you hit play on your timeline, it will just scroll through your script. So you've got something to read when you're recording your voiceover. Within that same menu, we can clear the script, we can change the font size, the spacing, the side margin, and the background opacity, and simply turn it off if we don't need it. 3 buttons in the middle, cue, record, and stop. Cue will take you to the beginning of your recording, which by default will be the start of the timeline. However, you can mark an in point on your timeline. That will reset the script to start from that point, and then every time you hit cue, you'll automatically jump to that point, so then when you hit record, you can get your voiceover in the right place. Now, I believe you need to be on the studio version for these. This would make sense. But on the right-hand side, we've got voice isolation, dialogue leveler, and stereo fixer. So you can actually add some of the AI voice effects directly to your recording. Now, Fairlight. This has a bunch of new stuff, some of which we're going to talk about now because it's kind of more relevant to everyone. But if you want to know more about some of these AI features, I definitely recommend checking out Jason Yedlowski. He's linked down below as well. I don't know when he'll be making any videos, but he's kind of the go-to audio guy, so go and check him out. So with that out of the way, let's talk about some of the more relevant stuff to us on the Fairlight page. And it's all AI, and it's cool. So let's have a look. Next up, we're going to talk about a bunch of new features within DaVinci Resolve 20 that all kind of come under the same banner that Blackmagic are calling IntelliScript. So this uses AI to basically read or transcribe your audio to create text files and then do a bunch of the stuff for you. And one of the best examples is cutting to a script. So I've got this incredibly simple script right here, just saved as a text file. Then if we jump into DaVinci Resolve, I've got this clip here, which is this end section. I got it right on the last take, but there's multiple incorrect takes. And we want this IntelliScript thing to do all the work for us. So we're going to right click on the clip within the media pool, come down to AI tools, and then there's an option to create a new timeline using IntelliScript. We'll give that a click. So I've got that text file. We're going to open that up. It's going to transcribe the audio from that clip, figure out the parts of the script that we want, and it's automatically put it on the timeline like so. Now what it's done, it's realized there are multiple takes because I did get it wrong a couple of times, and it's put them on the timeline as disabled tracks. So if I want to, I could enable them to see which take was better, and if I needed to, I could just get rid of those. And now we've got just that section from my original video that was in the script ready to go. Nice. If you don't need the AI to do all of that work though, you don't need the entire IntelliScript kind of thing going on there, you can instead use it to simply remove the silences. Now you could remove silences before using the transcription feature, but you'd have to transcribe, jump into transcriptions, remove silences. It wasn't much work, but you had to click a couple of buttons. Now it's much, much easier. So we do this one from the Fairlight page. So we're on Fairlight. First thing you need to do, give this audio one a click, or the name of the track on the left-hand side. Then you need to mark a range. So I'm going to come to the end and hit O or Out on my keyboard to mark this range. Then we right-click and simply come down to Remove Silence, and it's going to come up with a dialog box. So this is really cool because as we change the threshold, which is in dB, you can see it's highlighting the areas it's going to get rid of on the actual timeline itself. So it's dead easy to see what's going to be taken away. We can then change the pre-head, so the bit before. So let's increase that, for example. The post-head, which is the bit after. We've got the minimum to strip. Not entirely sure what that is, so I'll find out for the full video. But let's just adjust that to get this roughly looking like something usable. Then we can fade the tail and the head if we need to. And once we're happy, we simply hit Remove Silence, and it will cut those sections out of the timeline just like so. Another great example of this IntelliScript thing they're using is checkerboarding. Now, I'd never really heard this term before, but it's really clever. So the example is if you've recorded two people talking with one microphone, but one person is slightly quieter than the other, that can be a bit of a pain because you can't just apply leveling or EQ to the entire track because it might not work. This checkerboarding will identify when the different people are talking and then put that audio on two separate tracks. So then it's much easier to work with. So me and Dazza sat here and we had a chat, but we only used one microphone. So all of our audio is on one single track. Now you have to do this from the Fairlight page. So if we jump over to Fairlight, we right click on our audio on the timeline, come down to AI tools, and there is an option, Checkerboard to new tracks. Once that's done analyzing and running through, which is pretty quick, you can see what it's done is separated speaker 1 and speaker 2. I could actually rename these if I wanted to as well. So it's split the audio over two different tracks. So then I can simply increase the volume for track number 1, aka Darren, if I needed to, or apply some different effects, which is really handy because when you've got two people talking on one track, that's a nightmare to do. Now it's all separated out automatically. It's much, much easier. AI Multicam Smart Switch. This is really smart. Smart Switch is an accurate name. So this is going to be brilliant for people that do podcasts and all that sort of thing, because if you've got a multicam track, it will automatically cut to the current speaker. Now, depending on how you've set up the multicam, you can have one singular piece of reference audio, or you can have it to automatically switch the audio as well and all that sort of fun stuff. Now, the really clever thing about this smart switch is it's not just looking at the waveforms. It's actually using AI to track the person within the frame and looking at their mouths as well. So it will automatically pick up who's talking and try and switch intelligently to the right person. You've also got a little bit of control as to exactly how often and how obvious those kind of cuts are. So, edit page, we've got our multicam preview on the left with our main timeline on the right. Now, usually what you'd have to do is play through and manually cut these angles. But underneath the preview window, we now have this new icon, AI Multicam Smart Switch. We give that a click, we get a bunch of options. angle switching, so we've got the minimum edit duration, so it's not too sort of hyperactive if people keep cutting each other off. The edit change delay. We've got a wide angle setup, so if you've shot wide angle and then you've got separate punch-ins, you can have that automatically be detected and have it automatically open with the wide angle shot and all this clever stuff. And then you've got this smart switch setup. So by default, it's set to faster. You can set that to better. And then you've got this use audio only fast analysis. Audio only fast analysis will simply look at the waveforms, while leaving that unticked will use video and audio, which will use the fancy AI stuff to also look at the speakers within the video. If we hit analyze, it's simply going to run through this clip, analyze who's speaking, and then cut things up. Now, as you can see, even with this AI video version that's looking at the mouths, looking at my horrible face, you will see it's still pretty quick. And once it's done, we've got all of our cuts on our timeline. So if we hit play, I'm very clearly talking, and it's automatically going to switch over to Darren talking as he starts yapping away. And as you can see, it's worked pretty well, cutting back and forth. It's all very, very cool. Now, the next one is also very cool, and I've used it for this video, so hopefully it's turned out well. And this is the audio assistant, which basically will do all of the audio for your timeline for you with like a single click. It's super clever. So it will identify your music, your sound effects, your dialogue. It will put them all on separate tracks, and it will build up the EQ and the leveling to match whichever format you want, like YouTube, for example, which just means there's one less thing for you to worry about. You can then, of course, go in and amend anything you need to. So you can either use this to just basically do the whole process for you, or you can use it to kind of create a base, and then you can go and do the rest of the work yourself. This one is, I like this one. This one's good. So as you can see, I've got a very rough kind of timeline set up, and I've done nothing to the audio. So we've got some tracks that just have ambience, which has got music playing from the radio. Then we've got doing a piece to camera. We've got a piece of actual music, which is far too loud at the moment, and a whoosh sound effect for the transition. And we want the AI tool to basically do all of the audio for us. Now, quickly, before I actually do this, I've had some issues undoing this process. So what I recommend you do, before you actually do it, right-click on your timeline and then do a super quick duplicate timeline so you've got a copy to revert back to. Then all you need to do, go to that new AI menu at the top. So that's Timeline, AI Tools, and then Audio Assistant. And then we get this pop-up. Delivery standard, is this going to be for Netflix or whatever? The default is YouTube, which is super handy. I'll leave it as YouTube and then hit Auto Mix. And it's going to run through, analyze all the audio, find out what it is, whether it's voiceovers, ambient, music, sound effects. Then it's going to try and do some dialogue for us. Then it's going to mix the music together, the sound effects and the ambient, and then master the entire thing for YouTube. And straight away you can see it's color coded. It knows what's music, it knows what's sound effects, and it knows what's dialogue. And hopefully now if we hit play, but it's a little bit windy, as you've probably been able to see, and the sand hit. It's done a pretty good job of kind of knocking all our sound effects down, sorting out our music, bringing my dialogue up. If we open the inspector for my dialogue, you can see it's added the voice isolation, it's added the AI dialogue leveler. If we go to this music too, it will have added the ducker based on the dialogue. It's done loads of really clever stuff to do all of the base audio for this project. Go and tweak it or leave it as it is, whatever you need to do. Next up, Magic Masks. I've been a fan of Magic Masks since they originally released them in DaVinci Resolve 18, whatever it was, 18 or 18.5 or whatever. Magic Masks have been a really, really cool feature. Now they're just better. Yeah, whoa, Magic Masks is better than ever. So I've got this shot here. We're going to jump over to the color page. And it's in the same place, Magic Mask, but as you can see, it's now called AI Magic Mask 2. Now, the big difference, the big change with this, at least initially, is rather than clicking and dragging and doing strokes, you simply click once and it'll put a little dot on your preview screen. Let's just enable overlay so we can see what's going on. So at the moment, it's just picked up his vest. We'll do another click on his shoulder. And what's that? Picked up most of it. We'll do another couple of clicks just to make sure the entire guy is selected. Now, it does feel that's slightly slower rather than just clicking and dragging, but it's not too bad. As you can see, we'll pick up the objects pretty quick. All of the same settings down here. We've got our clicks on our track. We've got faster, better, and all of our controls for our mask. There are some new paintbrush tools, which I'll come back to in a second. Then we're just going to simply hit the same track buttons we usually would, and it's going to do our tracking. Now, it feels maybe slightly slower than the old version currently, but this is only just released and it is in beta. As you can see, it's tracking this guy really clearly, even when trees were going in front of him. So we'll leave that to finish, and it's done. Now, just to see how good of a job this has done, let's put that alpha output on, turn off our overlay, hit play, and that's really good. That's the faster version. Magic Mask has always been pretty good, but I don't remember it being quite that good. That's not really messed up anywhere. I was hoping there'd be more wrong with this, to be honest, so I could show you these new paintbrush tools, but there's not, so we'll show you anyway. So if I zoom in, you've got these little paintbrush tools right here. So we've got a plus and a minus. So what we can actually do on each individual frame, so let's say something was popping into this frame here, we could simply paint it out. Now this doesn't affect the track. This won't be tracked throughout the process of the clip, it's just for these single frames. You can change the size of these brushes down here with this little drop down. So let's make these a little bit smaller, and we can do some slightly more refined controls. If we want to add new things to this frame, we simply change to the plus instead. And as you've guessed it, we can just paint things in to this frame just like so. It's really, really good. Magic Mask, I've always been a fan, but now it's even better than ever. Now, while we're in here, let's just also mention there is a new depth map. So if I just search for depth map, grab that, drop that on my node, and we get our new depth map. It looks very similar. We've got things like faster, better, and some different controls, but it's just been built differently, I think. So it should run a little bit quicker. It seems to run quite quick, even on better, and the results do seem a little bit better than before. Again, color page, not my thing. I haven't jumped into all of this new stuff. Again, I highly recommend you take a look at maybe Team 2 Films. We'll talk about some of these color page features, but I know a man that definitely will, and that is Darren Mostyn. Again, linked down below so you can go check out these new features talked about by some professionals, rather than me. Next up, AI voice convert. And now I've kind of left this towards the end because I think it's going to be kind of quite controversial. It's going to cause a bit of a stir. This basically allows you to use an AI voice model on the timeline. So you can record your own voice, lay it down on the timeline, and then really quickly convert it into one of 4 preset voices. Now, there is the option to also make your own AI trained voice model so you can replicate your own voice or an actor's or someone else's, which we'll come back to in a second. Let me show you kind of the fundamentals of it and how to use the existing voice models that come included within Resolve 20. So we've got this clip on the timeline of me just doing a piece to camera and talking, and we want to convert this using this AI voice convert. It's dead easy. We can do this from the edit page as well as on the cut page. If we right click the clip on the timeline itself, there is an option to voice convert, give that a click, and then we get this little pop-up. So we can choose the track. So render in place will essentially overwrite the existing, or we can change to add a new track or use any of our existing tracks. I'm going to put mine on track number 2. We can change the file name if we want to. We can add any custom stuff into there, and there are, of course, wildcards. And then we can choose our voice model. So we've got female 1 and 2, male 1 and 2. So I'm going to go with male number 2. And then we can choose whether we want this to be a type match or we want to play with the pitch variant and the pitch change and all that sort of fun stuff. And then if we simply hit render, that will render out and give us our new audio track. Now I'm just going to drag this up and then we'll hit play to see how that sounds.
Simple, but how does it work from the other point of view when you need to grab your laptop, go traveling, and access that project from the cloud?
And as you can see, it's not done a bad job. If we wanted to have another play, we can simply right click, voice convert once again. Let's change this to be female and maybe let's have a little play with the pitch and then render.
Well, I'm currently in a hotel room on the other side of the world with a laptop that doesn't currently have that project.
And now the really controversial one. You can create your own voice models. Now, there are services which allow you to do this on the internet, but this is really interesting because this is all being done locally on your machine. So basically, you can get someone's dialogue, let's say 10 minutes of dialogue, and then train an AI voice model to sound exactly like that person. And then you can take any dialogue on your timeline, let's say your own dialogue, and make it sound like the voice model that you trained. Now, I totally understand why they've created this. It will actually be really useful for me. For example, I could train a voice model to sound like me, and then if my audio wasn't particularly good, I could then replace it with the AI version, which would be crystal clear. Or if you're using an actor and they're no longer around, you could train a voice model to fill in the gaps. But that obviously opens up loads of interesting conversations. Now, before I get in and show you exactly how this works, I just need to say, you do not have permission to use my voice. No one does. So if you have any respect for me in the world, please don't. Essentially. Not even to mess around. Don't use my voice to cock about and create things. Anyway, let's open DaVinci Resolve 20 and I'll show you how it works. So here we go. Now we've got this clip of me just doing some talking to the camera. This is not the best example. It's in a hotel. It's not the best audio and it's a little bit short, but it should work for this quick demonstration. We simply right-click the clip within the media pool, go to AI tools, and there is an option, DaVinci AI Voice Training. Give that a click. This pop-up will appear. Please read it. It does say you can generate high-quality AI-powered voiceovers. It also says you must have the legal rights to use any voice recordings you upload. Remember, you don't have any legal rights to mine, so please do not do that. We can then give it a name. We can choose the accuracy of the voice so we can go better or faster, and then it'll just let you know which files are being used to generate this voice model. Then simply click Start. It's going to run through that clip first of all and prepare it and do a little bit of analysis, which is really quick to do. And then it's going to actually create your voice model in the background. To have a look at the status of that, in the bottom right-hand corner, you'll have a new little icon appear. Give that a click, and we can see Alex1, the voice converts model status, is currently working away, and it's going to take about 25 minutes. You can continue editing, doing anything you need to do within DaVinci Resolve while that's working away. Once it's done, to actually apply that new voice is the same process as before. I'm going to right-click the clip on the timeline, go to Voice Convert. We have all the same settings as previously, but now we have a new voice model option. So this is Alex. Now this voice model is consistent. Once you've made it, it will be there ready to go on all future projects that you might need it. Then if we simply hit render, and it'll run through and replace the voice on the timeline with that voice model. So now if we hit play, Darren should sound a little bit more like me.
But so also maybe how hard work is it to actually vlog it? Because it always looks really...
And there you go. Now that's actually not done a bad job, considering the example I gave it was pretty short and not with the best audio. So there you go. That's how to create your own voice models. And that pretty much sums up at least the bulk of the new features within DaVinci Resolve. There are a couple of other things worth mentioning which I haven't been able to capture because, you know, I'm in a hotel. The first one is the ability to enable dual screen windows when using ultra-wide monitors, which is really cool. So if you're using a super wide monitor, rather than having it as just one big monitor, you can get DaVinci Resolve to think it's dual monitors, so you can have it split down the middle and then use the dual monitor interface instead. And then Fusion. I haven't jumped into any Fusion, so I'm not talking about any of the Fusion stuff in this video. I'd highly recommend you check out Casey Farris. Again, I've linked him down below. I don't know specifically what he's talking about, but he is a Fusion specific channel. So definitely go check out Casey's channel, as well as Patrick Sterling, who will probably talk about some of these features as well. But we've got a new deep image compositing toolset, which sounds cool. A 3D scene dome light, as well as the ability to toggle on and off the color grade within the media out node. So there you go. And last but not least, something I've had people mention in the comments in some of my previous videos, there is now support for NVIDIA Blackwell GPUs with CUDA 12.8. So if you bought one of these new super fancy 50 series GPUs, they haven't been fully supported within Resolve 19. Now in Resolve 20, they are. So you can start making use of all that GPU goodness. Woo! That's a lot. There's an awful lot going on in this video. I'd love to know your thoughts and feelings down in the comments section below. Thank you ever so much for watching. Thanks to AUDIIO for sponsoring. Let me know what you want to see from NAB. I'm here for the next few days. I'm going to be running around having some fun, so there'll be plenty more videos to come. Take it easy, folks. Have fun. I'll see you next time.